My fieldwork experiences, both during my master's degree and now my doctoral degree here at Oxford, were probably the most enjoyable, most rewarding, most interesting parts of both degrees. You know, actually working with the participants who directly inform my work and who were in many ways completely inspirational, was incredibly valuable and an experience that I'll never ever forget.
It was a very exciting experience, a very nerve-wracking experience at points, but one I would highly recommend. I would say the key is preparation, and preparing ahead of time will solve a lot of problems out there. So filling out, it sounds dull, but filling out the risk assessment form not only gives you a trace of what you've decided to do and what the protocol might be, but also forces you to think ahead of time of exactly every single kind of eventuality you might have.
Have at least 3 alternative plans. So at the end of year 1, I had plan A, B, C, and D, and that was really helpful. Do every training that you can find on first aid, on health and safety. That really helped me a lot to think through all of the things that could happen, and to really get contacts before you go. To study the situation, read newspapers, obviously, do your research on the history of the region you're going to.
It's really good to read as much as you can about the country, really trying to find other ethnographies or other sort of fieldwork accounts of similar spaces. Try and do some internet search of local organizations that do really grounded work, so on the ground work in the context you want to research, and try to link up with them.
You want to deal with the practicalities of fieldwork over an extended period of time, especially if you're moving around a lot. So things like doing your laundry, because that's just a practical step.
Do a pilot study or to go there for 2 weeks to become acquainted with the field site and to kind of think about all the practicalities.
I would recommend requesting that somebody on the other side buys you a SIM card and a working phone for that area so that you can contact people.
Try to travel all the time by day. In that way you avoid being at risk at night. Have always a contact that you can report to, a contact that knows where you are, and every time you move, let that person know that you are moving.
It's very important during fieldwork to set working hours, because otherwise it could become, you're going out all day and then you're going back to your flat and you're, continue working until midnight and then you wash, rinse, repeat every day.
Keeping yourself in physical and mental shape while on fieldwork is a really important point of doing successful fieldwork, I think.
The most important thing that I did, I think, to be aware of what was going on was first to sign up for the news outlets on Twitter and have it on my phone.
You need to have people who you trust who are watching out for you, who have more local knowledge than you do, because as much as you can try, you're never going to have the same knowledge as somebody who's from that place.
You have to take into account that you need to have a life, not just your research.
It's super important to make friends that are not related to your research when you're doing fieldwork, especially such an extended fieldwork. If you can, try out a hobby like a dance or a creative thing in the field that has nothing to do with the research.
Keep a journal every day and just write down the good things that happened. So not just the bad things, or no bad things at all, but just the good things every evening, the 5 best points about the day. That it's really important to take breaks, to schedule short holidays or even long holidays, to have proper rest. And I guess the main thing is also to talk with the supervisor when things feel really difficult. They can be a really big resource, and if they have done fieldwork themselves, they will know what you're talking about.
Returning to Oxford was a bit more of a shock than going out into the field. And so preparing yourself for reverse culture shock, returning from the field, is something that I would advocate many people do.